Hey, good to see you right here on 5 News Plus for another edition of 5 Outdoors. We are joined by our friend Trey Reed from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Trey, it's been a few minutes since we've had a good chat, but I think going into 2026, this is a fun conversation to have. You've got a really new program that may just very well change how some folks pursue big bass in Arkansas. What can you tell us about Legacy Lunkers?
Yeah, Legacy Lunker program officially kicked off January 1st, runs through March 31st. But essentially, what it is an angler donation and recognition incentive program, if you will. But if you catch a 10-pound bass in Arkansas, it really boils down to this: catch a 10-pound bass in Arkansas between now and March 31st. Donate it to the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. We'll come get that fish. We will spawn that fish with another proven big growth potential bass. Take the offspring and your donated fish. Take care of it at our hatchery in Lone Oak, Arkansas. Take it back, stock those offspring and the original fish back into that body of water where it was caught. The whole idea is to grow bigger bass in Arkansas, and that's what we're trying to do. But it's also much more than that. It is a way to recognize our bass anglers. It's sort of citizen science participating in the process. And one of the things that's really cool to me about it, Scott, is like, anglers like to brag about their catch. We all want to, tell everybody what we caught. And so I think there's going to be just sort of a built-in incentive here for people to show off these fish. We're going to see what Arkansas really can do in producing big bass, these double-digit bass that all bass anglers. Who doesn't want to catch bigger fish, So there's a lot of excitement around it. Talking about the incentive side of it, Express Boats has been a great partner with us, and they have donated a 21-foot bass boat that will be given away to. There'll be a drawing at the end of the period, the donation period that runs through March 31st. Actually, the drawing will take place much later than that. But after all the anglers have donated the fish, anybody who gets a qualifying fish, it's healthy, we accept it into the program. It's going to be entered into a drawing for that boat. Every angler will also receive a fiberglass replica mount of their bass from Harper's Pure Country Taxidermy in the Mountain Home area. And so, just a really cool way to create some excitement about bass fishing and grow bigger bass, hopefully, in the long run.
Now, you said something really critical there that I think is so interesting. These bass go back into the same body of water in which they were first caught. That's pretty cool.
It really is, Scott. We had kind of a trial run of this last year, and working with some bass clubs and, that do tournaments on some proven lakes that produce big bass. DeGray's been producing some big bass lately. Lake Hamilton, Hot Springs, a very well-known recreation lake, but been producing some really good bass lately. Millwood down in southwest Arkansas, some other places. But anyway, we worked with them, and we had a number of fish donated last year, and we really just kind of wanted to see how is this all going to work? The capacity in the hatchery. We also had a recent this summer had a groundbreaking, if you will, ribbon cutting for not a groundbreaking, but a ribbon cutting for renovations at our Joe Hogan State Fish Hatchery in Lone Oak in southeast Arkansas, a little east of Little Rock there. That's going to be the headquarters for this program. So, man, everything worked really well. We got some really nice fish turned in, 10, 11, some 13 pounders even. It's just great to see what comes out of these waters. But yeah, but by all measures, we're able to keep these fish healthy and really be attentive to them, especially with this new facility in Lone Oak, and protect those fish, make sure they stay healthy, and then get them back in that body of water where they can naturally spawn again, hopefully. Now, you got to remember that a lot of these big fish are likely nearer the end of their lives than they are the beginning, and so there's no telling how many more successful wild spawns they'll have. But it's great to be able to get one in a controlled environment where we can sort of ensure the success of the spawn, get greater numbers, and then get those offspring and the brood fish back into the body of water where they came from. Scott, one thing I want to point out: this is open. This is just public waters in Arkansas, so no farm ponds, things like that, private reservoirs, strictly public bodies of water that will accept these 10-pound plus fish from.
Now, tell me a little bit about where this idea generated. You've got some inspiration, right?
Yeah, so the Texas Parks and Wildlife has had a very successful program called Share a Lunker, and many bass anglers that might be viewing this will likely be familiar with that. It's been around for over 40 years, and they've had sponsorships over the years, and Texas is known for growing big bass, like Texas, Florida, that are well known bass producers. But it was something that really resonated with the anglers there, and not just necessarily from growing more big bass, but just that buy-in that provides for anglers to be not just participate in angling, but participate sort of in a citizen science project to do their part, if you will, to contribute to better big bass genetics and bodies of water across Arkansas, so, in Texas. But Arkansas anglers have wanted this for a long time, and it's something we've heard consistently from them, and focus type groups and things like that, and surveys that we do with our bass anglers. It's something they've wanted, and we're really excited to be able to now bring that out to the public and to our bass anglers. And again, man, to me, the coolest thing about it is it's going to be like, we're going to know where some big bass are lurking out there, because I think people are going to want to tell us about it and participate in this program.
So let's say we're out there on the Arkansas River. We pull one of these 10, 11, 12-pound bass in. We're excited. We know about this program. Do we call you immediately? Is that the case?
Yes, we've got a toll-free number, Scott, that you call, and you can get all that information at agfc.com, our website. And we're going to be talking a lot more about this as we get into the spring. We're kind of still pre-spawn, obviously, right now, but there's going to be, we get into February and into March, especially, is when you're going to really get started, I think, to see a lot of these fish. But yeah, give us a call, and one of our black bass program or legacy lunker program biologists will head your way with a fish tank in tow to come get that fish and make sure it's healthy. This time of year in particular, sometimes fish are caught pretty deep when it's a little colder. Water temperatures are colder, and so you got to worry about things like barotrauma, and they'll have fizz kits and things like that, and try to make sure the fish are staying healthy. Get that fish back to Lone Oak, get it in its own special holding area and raceways there. And we're another cool aspect, Scott. I know as much as you like science, I think you'll dig this. We've talked about our Titan Max bass that were stocked down in Lake Monticello, working with a private hatchery out of Georgia called Red Hills Fishery. Well, all of the male brood stock for our Legacy Lunker program will be these Titan Max bass from Red Hills. And so if you're not familiar with that, these bass have basically, they're not genetically modified. A lot of people misunderstand this, but their DNA has been sequenced to the point where they have identified markers, and it's proprietary. They're not telling anybody how they do it, where those points on the DNA markers are, but that show that, like, this fish has the potential. It's going to get big. We know it has this marker that it's got big growth potential, and so we'll know from the females, because they're 10 pounds or larger, that they have that potential, and they've done something to survive that long in the wild. And then we'll have these broodstock males that have genetically proven growth potential. So we're really excited about where that may lead us with growing some bigger bass in Arkansas waters.
Dude, that sounds awesome. I do love the science behind that. Hey, and the Lake Monticello restoration project, that's been a big success of you guys. It's not even anywhere close to here, but I'm very aware that you guys put a lot of work into that.
Well, it is, and whether it's close to Northwest Arkansas or not, in the River Valley, it's something that I think viewers and folks watching on the stream and everything should know, that Arkansas Game and Fish is like, we're in the lake renovation business. Lake Conway, obviously the largest game and fish owned lake in the state, right there in central Arkansas, undergoing a 5-year renovation right now. We're really almost exactly halfway into that time frame since that began. But if you look across the state and these lakes that Game and Fish built, as well as lakes that built by other entities. A lot of dam building in the mid 20th century, this reservoir creation and construction, and a lot of these bodies of water are getting older, and many times we're forced, because of the aging infrastructure and safety issues and things like that. We've got to go in and fix that infrastructure, but we're looking at it in a sense of let's not just fix the infrastructure while the public's going through that pain point of not being able to fish the lake because it's drawn down. You can't get a boat down the boat ramp because the water's too low and things like that. Let's really beef up our habitat, and when we do that, we see what's biologically called new lake effect, where when these lakes get filled back up again, they come back online, and there's all these nutrients and and fertility in this lake, and we see big numbers of fish, large growth potential. Lake Monticello, you mentioned it. It is remarkable, the growth that we've seen down there. I mean, just in 3 years, I think now, since that lake came back online, and it's been really slow to refill because of the way that watershed is, but people catching 19-inch bass that weigh over 5 pounds. I mean, these things are just they can't be more than 3 years old, and so that is really phenomenal growth, and we see that across the board. White Oak Lake in South Arkansas, Poinsett up in Northeast Arkansas, and Crowley's Ridge. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of that around the state. I'm glad you brought it up because it just goes to show what can happen, when you can devote the time and resources into not only fixing this infrastructure, but sweetening the pot by making greater fishing for Arkansans in the process.
Yeah, that's a good transition point here to talk about some conservation incentive program funding to maybe do some habitat work that also benefits everybody. Tell me a little bit more about what you guys are offering again this year.
Yeah, Scott, Conservation Incentive Program, CIP as we call it, because we love acronyms in the government. It actually started in 2024. The General Assembly in Arkansas took some set-aside funds, about $2.5 million, and we opened it up for applications 2 years ago, and it was immensely popular. There were, a dozen or so conservation practices that were eligible at that time. Man, it was so popular that we're doing it again. Now, we don't have quite as much money this time. This time it's our second round. We plan to hopefully do this more. It's a matter of securing the funding. This time we got about $650,000 from a grant through the U.S. Forest Service. Only 3 practices this time, but they're very important practices that are really important kind of fundamentally for habitat restoration, particularly a forested habitat in Arkansas. One is upland hardwood and pine forest management, kind of thinning out some of the understory, maybe some of the less desirable tree species, opening up that forest canopy where we create a lot of great habitat for white-tailed deer, ground nesting birds like turkey and quail. Another one is invasive tree removal, some specific tree species that are part of that. Another one that we talk a lot about, prescribed fire and fire break establishment. And, fire is one of the most cost-effective tools that landowners can use to improve habitat, getting that leaf litter off and opening up, again, especially if you can do it in conjunction with maybe some timber thinning or some what we call hack and squirt, that mid-story removal where we're getting more sunlight hitting the ground, and you do all that together, the fire and that opening up, and man, it just does wonders for all kinds of species of wildlife and improves hunting opportunities as well. And you think about it, and people talk about, well, this is on private lands, and Game and Fish does incredible work on almost 400,000 acres of land that we own, as well as cooperatively managing millions of acres, Ozark, Washita National Forest, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service properties, U.S. Forest Service properties that I mentioned, but 90% of Arkansas is privately held. That's a fact we can't get around. And when you do this habitat work, it benefits, of course, the private landowner, but it benefits the state as a whole, and even adjacent public areas. One thing that's a little bit different this time, Scott, about the way we're doing the conservation incentive program for this round too is last time was sort of a first come first serve. Again, there were many different practices. Feral hog removal was one of them last time. We really wanted to sink a lot into that and did, but they'll be priority ranked, and so the strength of your application, maybe your location and proximity to where maybe other habitat work is ongoing, or it might be in one of our quail focal areas that we've identified around the state where we're really focusing resources on both public and private lands for northern bobwhite restoration. So keep that in mind. But again, man, up to $20,000 max per landowner. So we're talking some significant cost offsets, reimbursements here to help with habitat improvement on your land that will ultimately benefit all of Arkansas.
And that application process, is that open now, or is that something that we need to be looking for in the weeks to come?
It opened earlier this week, Scott, and runs through February 6th. Thanks for pinning me down on that deadline. I get so excited talking about the program sometimes I forget some of the important details like that. But yeah, February 6th will be the deadline to get those applications in for round 2 of Conservation Incentive Program. And, while we're speaking about that, Scott, don't forget, we have a private lands habitat division at Arkansas Game and Fish that works 365 days a year with landowners. And so, like, even if you're not, maybe don't have something for this, but you want to do something else, agfc.com/private lands to learn more about that and other opportunities that may be available, as well as other funding opportunities.
All right, Trey, we covered a lot of ground, but there's 3 weeks left in duck season. Before we wrap things up, we can't control the weather, as much as people accuse me of being able to do that. My goodness, it's not been great. It's been so dry. It's been so warm. This season has been a challenge, huh?
It has been challenging. Of course, Scott, we didn't start with as many ducks as we had. The prairie breeding grounds, the pond counts were pretty low. We got maybe a little relief from that with some late rains up there that maybe helped some renesting efforts and things like that. But I don't think anybody was like, below long-term averages. So duck population's down. But that doesn't always, if with the right conditions, with the right number of, with cold fronts, with snow cover in the Great Plains and Midwest, with, colder temperatures, and most importantly, abundant rainfall in Arkansas. When the White River floods, when the Cache floods, and when those river bottoms, when we get that overbank flooding and the trees get full of water, and we have lots of ag lands that are holding water. I mean, the ducks just show up here, and man, as well as anybody, we're in a drought. You have some relief in the last day or two, but we have been. It's been extremely dry, and beyond that, just man, I mean, temperatures in the mid 70s, upper 70s, right there after Christmas, and a very, very moderate and mild temperatures the last couple of weeks. And so it just doesn't bode well for duck season. But hey, man, we've got 3 weeks left. Look, I talk to people every day that are having success. I mean, there's a lot of cases it's managed water and location, right place, right time. But man, you never know unless you go. So I'd encourage folks not to give up on the season. I'll acknowledge that it has been disappointing. It's been disappointing for me. I've been very little this year as a result of those conditions because I just haven't felt super inspired to give it a shot. So, but I'm going to get out some, and I encourage others to do that over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and I think as we always end this conversation with, it's when we have every so often, if you build it, they will come. Eventually things will change. And if we have the habitat right here, maybe they'll just come right back like they always have.
100%, Scott, and that's something we always got to keep in mind, man. No matter how good or bad duck season is, we got to keep doing the work, and that's what we're doing at the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, and a lot of private landowners doing that as well, and managing that habitat, set the table for them, and when the conditions line up, they'll be here, and we'll see some great hunting opportunity and make some great memories.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of 5 Outdoors. We'll catch up with Trey again soon, right here on 5 News Plus.